What's going on, folks? Riddick here, and this is your WWE Raw results for October 3rd, 2022. Raw coming from the XL Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. We're going to jump right into it here. We are going to get to the White Rabbit stuff, don't worry. Judgment Day kicks off the show. Finn talks about making Edge say I quit and making sure he's not anywhere near a ring that Balor is in. Dom says he hates Ray for lying to him his whole life and has a new family now in the Judgment Day. Finn starts to talk trash on AJ Styles, and then AJ's music hits. AJ comes down, and then we get Finn Balor and Damian Priest versus Mysterio and AJ Styles. On the outside, Dom tries to get Ray to hit him again. Ripley takes out Ray with a clothesline. Balor hits the coup de grace on Styles for the win, and that's pretty much how that went. Match was probably around 20 minutes or so, between 16 and 20, somewhere in there. I wasn't really clocking it. At the end, we see Styles is frustrated with Ray because of everything that was happening with Ray on the outside and the distraction. AJ was left in there to fend for himself. So Styles is frustrated with Ray and shoves him down. Judgment Day attacks Styles to end the segment. So you got a little tease like maybe AJ was going to join the Judgment Day or something, but then the Judgment Day ends up attacking him anyway. And that's how that segment goes off the air. And we get a Bobby Lashley promo in the back. He's talking about 3 months as U.S. champ, and he's like, wow, 3 months already? Mustafa Ali comes up and demands an opportunity at Lashley. He was just like shocked that he would come up and do that, but he ends up accepting the challenge. So it will be Bobby Lashley versus Mustafa Ali. Then we go and we see Sami Zayn and Jimmy Uso in the back laughing and chatting. Solo Sikoa is standing by. He's kind of trying not to laugh, but he's laughing anyway. Jay comes up and completely kills the mood, shuts that all down. They walk up on the Street Profits and deliver a message that Roman Reigns will be in the house next Monday. We see Montez Ford, he's in a walking boot, so apparently he's injured. I don't know if it's storyline or if he's like legitimately injured, but he's got a walking boot on. Solo Sikoa steps up on Dawkins and challenges him instead. So we're going to get Solo Sikoa versus Angelo Dawkins. And then we go right into Bobby Lashley versus Mustafa Ali. Ali won't stay down. Lashley decimates him on the outside, running him into the ring post multiple times. He's like holding him on his shoulders and running him into the ring post multiple times. Ali makes it back in the ring right at the 10 count, like right at 9.8 seconds. Lashley turns Ali inside out with a nasty spear, and then Hurt Lock, and Ali passes out. Ali doesn't tap out. Ali passes out. So he kind of looked a little strong there, but it's still just, I don't know, putting him in a U.S. title match like this or whatever. Was it for the title? I don't know. But put him in there like that without any build or story is just kind of weird. I want to see more. If we're going to have Mustafa Ali in this kind of stuff, maybe build it up a little more. Lashley gets the W, obviously. Then Rollins attacks Lashley from behind. Seth Rollins does attack Lashley from behind, hits a stomp on him, then another stomp with his head hitting the U.S. title. Then Rollins jumps to the outside and hits a stomp on Ali for good measure. So Rollins is still, kind of staying in that U.S. title picture there. Of course, Rollins is out there for the face-to-face with Matt Riddle. Rollins and Riddle have the face-to-face. It gets heated with Seth going on about Riddle not being able to see his kids. Riddle asks when the last time Seth had a title or the last time he main evented WrestleMania, and he says, oh, that's right, you haven't, but Becky has. So, of course, this gets them all heated. They're about to completely destroy each other. And then Daniel Cormier comes on the screen and tells them he's going to make sure only one of them walks out victorious and ends this thing once and for all. He said a bunch of other stuff too, but that's pretty much the gist of it. It kind of stopped them in their tracks when they seen that he popped up on the screen. And then White Rabbit. We get the White Rabbit QR code during a scene where Candice LeRae is walking in the back. She stops to talk to Alexa Bliss and Asuka and Bianca. And while this is happening, she walks up, she's talking to them, and then the screen starts to get all glitchy, right? Not like apparently glitchy, but almost transparent. Like the the glitching is transparent over the scene. So you kind of see it there. It's a little, washed out looking, but you kind of see the glitching there. And then the QR code flashes and then it's gone. When the glitching is happening, this is the first thing I want to point out. When the glitching is happening, people notice, like, if you pause it, you start to see like a face above Alexa Bliss where the glitching is happening, okay? Well, when you really look at the glitching that's going on, it really looks very similar to the old Wyatt family entrance video right before they would come out, and they go and make the noise. That glitching that happens, it's very similar. And if you pause it, just like you pause the video with Alexa Bliss to see the little face, you also see the face in the glitching in the Wyatt family video glitching thing. So when we scan the QR code, now mind you, the rest of the notes for Raw are going to be very vague because I started losing, of course, once again, not paying attention to the show because I'm worried about the White Rabbit stuff. But when we scan it, we get an image of Samson and Delilah, okay? Which in the story goes that Samson was betrayed by Delilah and he was invincible and things like this, but she betrays him and cuts his hair, and that's what the image is saying, right? And then you think about when The Fiend was at WrestleMania 37, I think it was 37, where Alexa Bliss basically betrayed him and took all of his power, and Orton beat him, no problem. Mere days after that event, Wyatt tweeted out a picture, ironically enough, of Samson and Delilah. The other thing to point out is the image of Samson and Delilah that Wyatt tweeted out when that happened. Samson's got a red blanket thing on him, okay? And Delilah has purple. So we've been seeing about the whole purple thing and the red light and the purple light. We saw that before, right? Keep that in mind. With this image of Samson and Delilah, if you are on your mobile device and you click the image, only one side disappears and you start to get a URL. The other side will not disappear unless you're on a desktop. So then you would have to go to a desktop and click the image, and the other side will disappear and give you the full URL, right? And then also in the middle of the screen, if you click around the screen, you get these little red boxes of strange characters, which ends up turning out to be Predator language, which of course it is, right? And then at the bottom you remember those Magic Eye books? Well, that's what was at the bottom, was a Magic Eye puzzle. So of course you had to do the whole weird staring at it thing to get it to come in 3D and get the word that was in there, or letters. And so we learned that some of these things led to, when you put the codes together and stuff, you get the name Gacy. Now that could mean Joe Gacy, or it could mean John Wayne Gacy. There's that comic book, I think, of Alice in Wonderland that's like John Wayne Gacy and then Alice and then a white rabbit, ironically enough, and they're sitting there and it kind of looks similar to how Bray and Alexa were in the Funhouse. It's very similar. And then also with Gacy, he had posted something earlier on his Twitter about he went to see like the location of The Walking Dead. He knocked, but they wouldn't let him in. Then after the show, Gacy tweets out lyrics from a song by Coal Chamber, and the lyrics from the song that he tweeted is a song called Fiend. Take that for what you will. And then also, in amongst the codes, as they get deciphered, as you will see on Twitter and everywhere, they do have coordinates as well, which leads to the Wells Fargo Center, which is where Extreme Rules is. Okay, and then also leads us to uncovering another image. It's another Samson and Delilah image, okay, but this time it's like one with the pillars and things are falling. And somewhere in there, we also get the quote that that ends with the whole abandon all hope ye who enter here, which of course on the Firefly Funhouse door, it was abandon all hope ye who exit here. And one other thing I wanted to point out with all this abandon all hope ye who enter here thing, there's a band, and I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, but there's a band with an image. And earlier this year, Wyatt tweeted out an image talking about something about he tweeted out something about he who holds the key, and then this image was below it, right? The image is actually the same image that's on the band's cover that has this song, and the title or the caption at the bottom says "Abandon all hope, you enter here." Same image, and Wyatt tweeted out that same image earlier this year in reference to that. So there's just more connections there, and the connections just keep going, and it just keeps getting deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. Now, I know there's more that I missed probably, and there's going to be twice as much, later this week when after everybody dives even deeper into it. But we also saw that Joe Gacy, on his Twitter profile, his eyes are X'd out, much like the characters in the Funhouse. Apparently that's been like that. I thought it was new, but apparently it's been like that. It's just strange because it looks very similar. It looks almost identical to the way the eyes are X'd out in the Funhouse. So it's probably nothing, but it's just very weird that that's very similar. So that's what happened with the White Rabbit stuff tonight. And like I said, it probably goes even deeper than that. But I mean, it's so much to take in that I'm just hitting all the points that I can think of right off the top of my head. So definitely a lot there to unpack, and very interesting. And it seems like we're really, ramping up this stuff right before the pay-per-view or the premium live event. So then we get Candice LeRae versus Dakota Kai. Oh, wait. Before that, we saw Miz was backstage, and Dexter Lumis was watching him from a distance behind the door. Miz didn't notice, and he takes off. Then we get Candice LeRae versus Dakota Kai. Kai gets the victory with interference by Damage Control, which, of course, they did, right? Match was not bad. It was pretty good, but, I mean, it was just kind of there. It's obviously setting up where they're going with the Women's War Games match at Survivor Series. I'm sure Candice LeRae is now going to be part of that, and they have to get her in there and start intertwining that. Then we get Johnny Gargano walking backstage. He sees The Miz playing dead, seemingly, on a cabinet. He goes over and he notices artwork by Dexter's laying on him, and Miz freaks out. And Gargano's like walking away saying, "Oh, Dexter." Something like that. Then we get an interview backstage with Damage Control. Bayley tells Bianca tonight is just between them and that she asked for this. Then we move on to Otis versus Johnny Gargano. Gable was ringside. Theory is on commentary. Match goes on, and get toward the end of the match, we have Theory with the briefcase to the back of Gargano. Otis gets the victory. They start beating down Gargano, and then Braun Strowman comes out. Of course, because Braun Strowman had a match with Chad Gable next, so of course he would. And we go right into it, Strowman versus Gable. Strowman wins. Of course, I totally missed half of how this all went down because I lost track of everything because of the whole White Rabbit thing. So, apologies on that, but I mean, it's just hard to keep up with everything. And then Lashley backstage, he's getting iced up, from getting his arm, like when in the match with Ollie did a 450 splash off the ropes, and Lashley was kind of holding on to the bottom rope. I was just trying to get up, and boom, nailed his arm. It was really nasty looking. So Lashley was getting that iced up. And then Kevin comes up to ask him what he's going to do. Bobby says, well, next week the title is on the line against Rollins. He doesn't care. He's going to bang his head around like a pinball and all this stuff. So next week we're getting Seth Rollins versus Lashley for a United States title match, which is odd to set that up before Rollins even has the fight pitch match, which we don't know how it's going to go out. Because it'll be strange to lose that match and then get a United States title match. Maybe he doesn't lose. Maybe it's straight just like Bam Bam Bam, like Cody Rhodes beat Rollins. Maybe Rollins beats Riddle 3 times in a row. Did he beat him twice already? I thought it was twice. No? Maybe once. I don't know. No, I thought it was twice. I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe that's where it's going. And then we get the contract signing for the Raw Women's Championship match. It's the first ever ladder match for the Women's Championship. As Corey Graves is moderating this, he's having them fill out the contracts, and when they're done, he folds up the contract folder and lifts it up to reveal that the QR code is also on the back of that. It's very quick, so you would have to be ready for it. But he only holds it up for a split second and then takes it away. Same QR code, goes to the same stuff. While Bayley and Bianca are talking, Bianca and Bayley's asking, what time is it? What time is it? I think it's time to, we were going to go get some coffee or breakfast. I don't know what they were going to do. But then we go to the back and we see Kai and Sky attacking Asuka and Alexa backstage. And because of this, it distracts Bianca and Bayley, then attacks Bianca out there, pulls her over the table and starts beating her. But Bianca gets away from her and runs to the back to help Asuka and Alexa. While we're back there, we see Asuka's foot was in a chair and got all messed up and injured. Bianca's checking her over, and then Alexa stands up and said, this is not over, and challenges Io to a match. Then we get Solo Sikoa versus Angelo Dawkins. Solo gets the W after a mess of distractions on the outside. Everything was all over the place with the distractions tonight during this match, for sure. But in the end, Solo Sikoa does get the W. The distractions actually started showing some turmoil in the bloodline with, even though there was always turmoil between Sammy and Jay, there was actually a little bit of turmoil starting to build up with Solo, because he's like, what are you guys doing? You're ruining my match, kind of thing, right? So they got all messed up there, but at the end of the day, Solo gets the W. Backstage, we see that Theory challenges Gargano for next week on Raw because Gargano attacked him while he was out there having his match, and Theory was on commentary, so Theory didn't like that too much, so he's challenging Gargano for a match next week. So we're going to be getting that. Then we get Edge sitting in a ring somewhere. I don't know if it was it couldn't have been backstage, but he was somewhere, maybe in his training facility or somewhere. And just to kind of recap it, I'm not going to say the whole thing because he talked for a little bit, but to recap the last part of it, Edge says, you can ask Foley, you can ask Taker, you can ask Cena, I come out swinging or headbutting or whatever the hell I have to do. I have to be a one-man gang. So in an I Quit match at Extreme Rules, you're facing something and someone that you have never faced before, and you can't hurt me enough. All four of you can't hurt me enough to make me say I quit. You cannot physically hurt me enough to make me say I quit. I hope you're all ready for a war, because I damn sure am. It's funny to note, I want to point out that he emphasized physically. You cannot physically hurt me enough to make me say I quit. And remember in my predictions, I said, I think Finn Balor is going to win and make him say I quit by maybe using his, I didn't say this in the predictions, but I figured there'd be a way to do it. And this is making me think they're going to somehow utilize going after his family or doing something like that to his family, where he's saying, you cannot physically hurt me enough, but what about mentally? What about mentally, right? Just keep that in mind. I think Finn Balor still gets the win over that. Then we go to Alexa Bliss versus Io Sky. This is the match to close out the show. Bayley tries to interfere. Screen goes pink for a second. Well, purple. It's kind of pink-purple. Because, through all these Alexa Bliss matches, the lights have been going out or weird stuff's been happening. But this time it flashes like a purple screen, just straight purple, and it's there for a second, and then it goes away. Alexa takes out Bayley and Kai. Sky gets the pin with the over the moonsault. So the match went on. It was probably a good 15-minute match or so, 10 to 15-minute match. And Damage Control was doing their whole thing with trying to interfere, and Alexa does pretty good at trying to take him out. Bianca was out there. Kai and Sky hit Bianca with a ladder. They bring a ladder into the ring. They hit her with a ladder. Asuka is then limping to the ring with a kendo stick. Like, literally, she's barely able to walk, but she's coming out there. Didn't amount to nothing. They take her out with the ladder, too. And they decimate all three of them women. And then all three of the women from Damage Control set up the ladder. Bayley ascends the ladder and sits on top. Kai on one side and Io on the other side, and they're holding up all the titles, and that's how we end the show, going off the air. So maybe this will help, make it more interesting with them, but it's been kind of flatline for a while with this whole damage control thing because people aren't really feeling it and they're kind of having a hard time really meshing. But maybe this will bring them to that next level. I have no idea. All I know is once the White Rabbit stuff hit, I was completely out of it. Didn't know what was going on. All worried about the White Rabbit stuff. But what we did find out in tonight's code is very interesting when you start to really unpack it all. And like I said, right out of the gate, when the first QR code appeared and there was like glitching on the screen, it looks just like the Wyatt family glitching before their, when they came out, before their entrance. It would go and flash on the screen. It looks just like it. And you can even see that little face kind of pop up in there too. I'm just saying, you know. And then, of course, all the Samson and Delilah references and the Gacy reference, which we don't know if it's referencing Joe Gacy. It could be John Wayne Gacy because there's that Alice in Wonderland comic. It's like weird where Joe Gacy is sitting next to Alice in Wonderland. It's a weird thing. It's very weird and creepy. But the image of it very much looks like, Bray and Alexa in the Funhouse. That's what it looks like. So I don't know. It's very strange. And then we got the coordinates for the Wells Fargo Center and other various things. And there's just so much to unpack. But if you go on Twitter and look at all the hashtags of the White Rabbit and hashtag Bray Wyatt and all that stuff, they're going crazy on there, decoding all this stuff. And it's wild, man. Super cool. Very wild. And I'm digging it. So, yeah. That's really all I got to say about that. That is your Raw results for October 3rd, 2022. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you all down the road.